The golden retriever began sleeping with his chin on the baby's blanket. Not the baby, the blanket. Every night for 3 weeks before anyone thought to test the air in that room, it looked like devotion. It was. It was also, the pulmonologist later explained, a dog placing himself at floor level in the room with the highest off-gassing concentration and registering what he found there every single night. Max was a 6-year-old golden retriever, beloved and gentle, who had made his peace with the arrival of 4-month-old Tobias in the way of good family dogs everywhere. He had adjusted his proximity management and accepted the new configuration. He slept in the hallway outside the nursery. He was calm around the baby. He was, in the assessment of everyone who visited the Nguyen family, an extremely good dog. On a Monday, 3 weeks after Tobias came home, Max began lying on the floor of the nursery at night with his chin resting on the corner of Tobias's blanket that draped over the crib rail to the floor, not on the baby, on the edge of the blanket. His nose at the level of the floor vent, 2 feet away. Clara Wen moved him the first few nights. He returned. On the 4th night she let him stay and watched. Max's nose was working at the blanket's edge and at the vent. Slow, deliberate, repeated sampling. Not excited, the methodical movement of an animal processing something. Clara had bought new nursery furniture 3 weeks prior. It had arrived the week Tobias came home. A crib, dresser, and changing table from a major retailer, all assembled together in a closed nursery. She did not connect these two timings until the 3rd week, when she mentioned Max's behavior to her sister, who happened to be a chemistry teacher. Her sister said, "New furniture in a closed room. VOCs. Subscribe now before the next test result." Because the indoor air quality test that Clara ordered the following week showed formaldehyde and volatile organic compound levels in the nursery that the testing service classified as elevated for a room with infant occupancy. And what the pulmonologist said about 4 months of VOC exposure in a developing infant's respiratory system is what Clara cannot read without sitting down. Formaldehyde off-gassing from pressed wood furniture components peaks in the first several weeks after assembly, particularly in a room with limited ventilation. The nursery window had been kept closed for temperature control. The furniture had been off-gassing into a sealed room where a 4-month-old slept for 12 to 14 hours per day. VOC levels are detectable by dogs at concentrations below human olfactory perception. Max had been lying at the floor vent, where VOC-laden air from the room settled at highest concentration, and at the edge of the blanket that lay at floor level, where the same air pool accumulated. Dr. Priya Mehta, pediatric pulmonology, said 4 months of elevated VOC exposure in early infancy, particularly formaldehyde, has documented effects on developing airway epithelium. We don't yet know the full picture for Tobias. What I can tell you is that removing the source and increasing ventilation immediately is the right next step, and that you got here before this became a chronic and significant respiratory issue. She said, "What made you test the air?" Clara told her about Max, about the blanket edge, about the vent. Dr. Mehta was quiet for a moment. She said, "I'll be discussing this case in our department meeting next week. Has your pet ever focused on a specific location in your baby's room at night? A vent, a piece of furniture, a floor area, in a way that turned out to be a response to air quality? Tell us in the comments." Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. The nursery furniture was removed and replaced with solid wood pieces. The room was ventilated thoroughly over 2 weeks before Tobias returned to it. The window stays open during the day now. An air quality monitor runs continuously. Max sleeps in the hallway again. The nursery air tests clean. There is nothing at the floor vent that requires his attention. He was right to lie there for 3 weeks. He was right about what was in the air that Tobias was breathing. And he stayed there every night until someone finally followed his nose to the answer. Next, the cockatoo who began calling the baby's name repeatedly at 4 a.m., and why the nighttime respiratory event the parents found when they rushed in changed what they understood about whether birds sleep through the night.